Now, it is a crucial night for Manchester United as they take on Athletic Club in Bilbao for the first leg of their Europa League semi-final.
That's right, Hannah. And someone who will have a particular interest in this tie is Miguel Lourenço Pereira, a Portuguese football journalist who's followed Ruben Amorim's career, but has also written a book called Passion, Journey to the Soul of Spanish Football. Brilliant to see you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on today on Sky Sports News. Let me start by asking you about Ruben Amorim. Have you been surprised at how tough he's found it at Manchester United?
Well, good morning, first of all. And no, I haven't, because essentially Ruben is a manager that has a very strong belief in the way that he sees the game and his tactics. And he would arrive always to a team that was not built exactly for the way that he likes to play. So I think from day one, he knew that he needed a period of adaptation to the strengths of the Premier League. But at the same time, being in a European semi-final, after so many years of bad performances for Man Utd in Europe is also a plus for him. And he'll be looking forward for next summer to try to strengthen his squad with the type of players that he will need to make his idea work. And that is probably what he's thinking right now, getting the job done in Europe and then going to the summer market and get ready for next season to be on full.
Miguel, you followed Amorim's career in depth, probably more so than anyone. Is this the toughest period of his time as a manager overall?
Yes, obviously, because Man United is such a giant football club. And when you come from a reality as Portuguese football, which is relatively important in European football, but not at the level of the Premier League, and you are used to manage football clubs that are with the demands much less than United has, it's always very tough. But at the same time, Amroim has proved himself to have strong character, has proven himself to be faithful to his own idea. So I think he already knew that this was going to happen, or at least some of the things that he's living were going to happen. And I think the focus that he always had in European football this season to go all the way to the final, to buy himself a go-kart for the summer, was always part of the plan. He knew that the Premier League is the toughest league in the world. He knew he was going to play against sides that can beat him at any given week because of the quality of the squads, the quality of the managers, the nature of the Premier League as it is. But then in Europe, Man United proved themselves to have a stronger squad, and now is 180 minutes away of playing a final and to become only the fourth manager in the history of the club to win the European Cup. So it's also exciting times for him as well.
Oh, absolutely. And where would a Europa League win rank among all of his achievements so far in his career?
Well, I think it would be number one, of course, because winning in European competition is always important to any football manager, and to win it with Manchester United. And like I said before, being just the fourth manager in the history of the football club to win it. The previous one was even Jose Mourinho, which is an idol of him. So probably for him, it will be important most because after winning 2 leagues with Sporting, also important feats, but they are in a less level, which is the level where the Portuguese Football League is actually. So moving to England and then on these first 6 to 7 months of being in the job to be able to bring home such a respected trophy as the Europa League, not the level that he wants to bring to Man United. Of course, he always spoke about bringing United back to the great Champions League nights like the ones we had this week, but it's the first step. So we're probably looking forward to that.
In terms of Athletic Club, his opposition tonight, they've never won a European trophy. I mean, this tie against Manchester United, what would it mean to them to win the tie, first of all, and to go on and lift, a European trophy?
Yeah, it will be massive for Athletic Club. The final is going to be played on their stadium in San Mamés in a couple of weeks' time. And Athletic Club is probably one of the biggest football clubs in Spain. I would say probably the 4th biggest club in Spain. But they peaked too soon, like many football clubs before the 1950s, 60s, when the European competition started. They were the strongest, or at least one of the 2 or 3 strongest sides in the land, winning regular league titles and cups. But then the last 40 years, they never won a single trophy. They won it last year, the first cup in a long time. So for them to follow that win with winning finally the competition that they are hoping to get this season, playing at home and becoming only the 8th side in Spanish football to lift a European trophy, for them is massive. So it will be a celebration of the football club as an institution, and also a celebration of the way they live the game, which is very particular, even inside the system of Spanish football, playing with homegrown players only, very connected to the local community, and a club that sometimes brings you memories back of the old days of the football pre the commercialization over the past 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, do you think they get enough credit for the way they sort of run their club?
Yeah, I think people respect them a lot for that. Supporters have grown used to not being able to compete at the highest level with this model, but they are comfortable with the idea of being true to themselves and being aware that sometimes they can punch a little bit higher if they have good players, they have a good generation like they do have now, to be able to play sometimes in the Champions League, to be able to compete all the way in competitions like the Europa League or even the Conference League and win a couple of cups in the run. I think football supporters in Bilbao are very happy in the way the club has been run. And in Spain, they are still a very well-respected club. They are believed to be a club that represents values of old. That's always important for some sort of supporters who are very nostalgic. And essentially, I think the world, especially for the way they still are being run, looks to them with a great level of respect.
Miguel, before I let you go, can I just ask you about Hugo Viana, of course. He's moving over to Manchester City. Big job for him. The club have been linked already this week with Diogo Costa, the Portugal goalkeeper. Do you think Viana is a good fit for Manchester City? And do you expect a lot of Portuguese players to maybe move over to Manchester City this summer?
Well, he has a great heritage behind him in Chiki Begiristain. The job that he's done for the club over the last few years has been absolutely great. And after a season like the one that Man City is living this year, so he will probably have a lot of people looking in what he's been able to do. He did a very good revamp at Sporting alongside Amroim. And he did manage to bring the club back from a shady period to become another dominant force in Portuguese football over the past 4 to 5 seasons. Premier League is always another level. It happens with players, it happens with managers, also with sports directors. But he has a great knowledge of the market, and probably he will be able to bring in some players. I would expect a couple of Portuguese, or at least players that have played in Portugal over the past few years. People talking about Diogo Costa, also Victor Gyökeres, also Nico Gonzalez already moved in January and was playing for Porto. Probably the move always has had something to do with Viana as well. So expect some players from the Portuguese league to arrive at Man City in the next summer and him to do a very interesting job. We'll be looking to him with great expectation as well.
Miguel, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been brilliant to speak to you.